Character customizations in games are a great way to make the player connect to their characters more, by giving them a way to personalize them to their liking. From the stock market that is TF2 hats, to whatever the hell Dark Souls lets you make, creating a custom character can be a fun game in and of itself. From either trying to recreate characters from pop culture, or something completely original. It's hard to mess up implementing a character creation tool, so I thought I'd give it a go myself, play around with Shader Graph to learn more about it, and just have some fun along the way. One of the most popular videos on my channel was this one, about making this cute little voxel project. And my favourite part about this project were these nice looking dwarves. I made these with a program called Magic of Voxel. It's a great lightweight program that allows me to make these guys. But then the outputs models were really weird with duplicated vertices, so I had to then stick them in Blender and use an add-on called Vox Cleaner to sort them out before importing them into Unity. I got a few comments about this, how it's bad and somehow makes it worse because it's not triangulated properly, but I can clearly see in Unity and Blender the difference it made to the size of the model without affecting quality, so I have no idea where they were coming from. Another comment I saw and I've seen across YouTube in regards to voxel art like this is that it's wrong to call them voxels because each cube isn't individually simulated, but whether it's fully simulated in engine or just a single mesh that is voxel-like, there's absolutely no reason not to call it voxel art. Most pixel art games don't render at their perceived resolutions. Does that make it wrong because it's pixel art? But anyway, I digress. So I have the base models for the characters, and the next step is texturing. For this, I start with a base texture that was painted purely red, blue, and green. So the models initially look pretty horrid. But I did this for a very simple reason, so I could identify each section of the model and then replace the colors with a shader. I created this shader here that simply goes through and replaces each of the 3 colors with a new color defined in the material instance. This allowed me to set up some color gradients that I could then sample, creating a wide variety of characters, all only using one material, making it extremely efficient for the system to handle. To get even more efficient, I could have set the material up so that it uses the palette instead of unwrapped textures like these, but I lost the original files since the last time I worked with these dwarves when I reinstalled Windows, and I just wanted this working as a proof of concept, so basically I just got lazy and did it this way. To add more customization, I added 3 more color parts to the shader, using cyan, yellow, and purple, for the belt, the trousers, and the shoes, which were all originally a single color. For the faces, I wanted to go for a Lego style, with every detail painted on them with a 2D texture. This means that again, nothing about the model is changing, but yet can be very easily modified and look unique. So what I want to do is take an image and slap it on the front of the model like that. But there's just one problem. This is an example of the face, and this is the texture that the model uses. The texture is all unwrapped, and the small section down here is the face. So if I go ahead and overlay on top of this texture, yeah, that's not right at all. So what I need to do is line up the face to the body's texture. So I could either draw every face with a whole bunch of empty pixels around it like this, or I could use Shader Graph to offset the texture correctly. So that's what I'm going to do. What needs to happen is the face needs to be scaled down to size, moved to the correct position, and rotated. The first 2 parts are done with the tiling and offset node. Basically, the tiling value scales the texture, but as I have repeating turned off, increasing the value just makes it smaller. I then need to offset the texture by a little bit. There was probably a nice way of calculating these values, but I basically just typed in random numbers until it looked vaguely centered. The output of this node is then stuck into a rotate node, which sorts the third issue out by just rotating it 270 degrees. And then with that value, the decal is sampled, blended with the original texture, and a face is created. One issue I did have that was if no face was selected, the texture would appear all black. I fixed that with a branch that just checks to see if the texture wasn't blank before applying it. If it was, it just blends nothing instead. And then with that, faces can be selected, and they look kind of good on these guys. It's a very mixed style for this demo. I'm no artist, and I'm definitely no shader expert, but this result is exactly the sort of thing I was looking to achieve. Switching hairstyles is a whole lot easier than faces. I just added another mesh renderer for the different styles, so I can switch the meshes between them. As I previously mentioned, each different mesh still uses a different material, so I have to also apply material when they change, so I just created a struct to store both. For those that are purely hairstyles, they just use a generic all red texture, but for any with headbands or hats, they use their own. And that switching is just great to see. I also did this for the beards, so they have the exact same setup with a separate mesh renderer. At the top of this UI, I also have the tabs for setting the color of each part. In this example, it is made up of 3 sliders for the RGB. But it could also be a color wheel, preset colors, whatever works to set these values. And all of these tabs work the exact same. Literally the only two differences are the color code that it sends to the material to set the correct part, and the title on the tab. And for each part, you can go ahead and set the colors, creating unique characters. And that is how this character creator works. I made this as a little proof of concept to teach myself a bit more, and I think it came out great. Once the player has created their character, all of the settings would then be saved to a file, ready to use. This little project was great fun. It's always good to learn something new. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to leave a like down below and comment what you thought about it. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.